Shelter is very important to man, and that is why I talk about buildings generally. It is important to know how to manage and to maintain your building so that you can get the best from your building. Please click the like button and tell us your comment. Let us know what you want us to talk about at the end of this episode. You can also click on the subscribe button for more details and for you to get information or notified whenever a new episode comes up, and for you to join the family. This will help you to maintain and to manage your building properly. This channel definitely will do your building good and your income will get better. My name is Funmi Amunega Ajayi, also known as your property doctor. You can connect with us on our social media handles on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube, like you're doing right now, at Property Doctor NG, and on Twitter at Property Doc NG.
I'm coming. If you hand over to government to maintain, the budget, the money, and share it.
To live in that particular place that the house is. So it's supposed government will compensate them so that and pay them and relocate them to where they are going and build another house for them.
Careful engineering and management to meet human needs. We have talked extensively on construction, on decoration, and the maintenance of your buildings, and even the management of your buildings. But I observed that we still have some problems in buildings, maybe because of poor construction, maybe vandalization, and generally the collapse of building. Today we'll be talking about curbing the collapse of buildings here in Nigeria. We talked about the signs to look out for if a building is about to collapse. We talked about the causes in our previous episodes. You can watch them. The collapse of building we've talked about extensively. We talked about it, not only me talking about it, but we brought in professionals. We brought in structural engineers, builders, architects, and so many professionals in the built environment. We have a role to play, even those of you staying in those buildings that are not even knowledgeable about it. Because we all need shelter, and as long as we're still here in planet Earth, we need to make sure our buildings are safe. Well, let's talk a little more about this collapse of buildings, because recently we found out that some buildings still collapsed. Why is it still happening? I'm afraid it will still happen if we keep on doing the same thing and we expect another result. That will be an impossible task. I will pick some points from the last meeting of the FCT chapter of NIOB, that's the Nigerian Institute of Building, 2022 general meeting. And we talked about the causes and the ways to curb the collapse of buildings. The first thing I'll be talking about is poor design. If you have a poor design for a building, definitely the building is going to collapse. And if you have poor workmanship, if you have, that is the kind of people that you put together to do the job, the building will also collapse. If you use substandard materials, substandard building materials, it will collapse. Now, if you have enough material, that's good quality material on site, and there's pilfering on your site, definitely you will not use adequate material, and they will want to manage because they have pilfered some of your materials. You find out also that there is a tendency that that building will collapse. Now, illegal conversion or alteration to existing structures. Sometimes some people will build a bungalow or a story building, and tomorrow maybe they have money, maybe their income increased, or they have a windfall, money came in somewhere, and they will just increase the one-story building to two-story buildings. This is very, very bad. It can lead to collapse because right from the foundation, you find out that you did not prepare to carry a two-story building. Then other things, some people have a building and they change the use of the building. It can also affect the building. For instance, if you have a residential building and it turns into a public building, definitely it has not been prepared to withstand the pressure of a commercial or a public building, and there is a tendency that that building will collapse. Now, if you lack the comprehensive subsoil investigation test, if it is not done before the designs are done, then definitely that building may collapse. If you use quacks or unskilled professionals in the built environment, you see them everywhere, you are expecting the building to collapse, or you should expect that building to collapse. Now, if you don't have the right design and you go ahead to build, the building has a tendency to collapse. So what are the things that we should do? The first thing I'll be talking about is we should have the right design, because this should be done before the building is being built at all. You should get the structural engineer to design your building. That is, after the architect has done his own design, you have the structural engineer doing his own design. You need a mechanical engineer, and you also need an electrical engineer to put those things together. Everybody has a role to play. Then you get a builder to help you put the building production process on. And we also need to do a soil test. It's important to carry out a soil test wherever you need to construct a building. You don't know the history of the building, but when you do the test, you'll be able to find out what is happening to the soil in that area, whether it can withstand the structure you're bringing or not. Now, erect buildings for the right purpose. Do not promote your buildings from maybe a private building to a public building. For instance, you have a building, a house, and you are using it for a residential building. Then you now change it to a school, or you change it to a hotel, or even change it to a mall. It's not safe, because the safety factor has not been considered, and it's going to affect the building in future. So it's important you stick to the use of that building. If you need to change the building, then you get the approval so that you can do the right thing before you change the use of that building. Another thing we should put into consideration is that we should not promote a building. Maybe your income has increased and you now choose to promote your building from a story building to a two-story building. It's not safe. It can affect the building and it can cause a collapse. Ensure the compliance by contractor is strictly adhered to. Make sure that they adhere to the use of tested material. Make sure that they don't use materials that are not tested. You'll be wondering what kind of materials or products that need to be tested inside. We are looking at the cement, we are looking at the water that can be used in the site, we're looking at the reinforcement. There's so many things we need to test in the site to make sure that we have a safe building. So it makes the project easy, and it helps you to save time, to save money, and to stay safe. So when you use the correct building materials, you will be preventing structural defects. There's a need for strict compliance to quality building materials. It is very important to use quality building materials. It's cheaper for you maybe at the end of the day if you're using quality material. Use right human resource. Make sure you have the right person to do the right job. You use a square peg in a square hole. Don't use a square peg in a round hole. Regulate and stop the use of non-professionals and quacks in buildings. And in construction industry generally, if you use these people, these are the major contributors to building collapse, because they don't know the right thing to do at any time of the day. Buildings are collapsing in different areas in Nigeria and all over the world, but we can do something to stop it or to curb it or to manage it. We don't have a problem of natural disasters, so we should be able to manage the little problem that we have so that we have a safe environment. Now, when the building is completed, there's the need for proper maintenance culture, because if you go outside the country, you see old buildings, they are still standing strong. It's because there's good maintenance culture. So if you have a good maintenance culture, management culture of the building, you see that the building will not collapse. The significance of building control is very important. The purpose of building control is to ensure that existing and new buildings are safe, they are healthy, they are accessible, they are habitable for current and for even future generations. So it's not just for our generation, for even our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren coming, so that they will have a safe environment to stay in. In some countries, like I said, you see buildings over 200 years old, 300 years old. You see buildings of 18-something, 1830-something, 1801. They are still very functional and they are safe. It's because they have a good maintenance culture. So it's important we build our maintenance culture here in Nigeria, as well as we improve on it and improve on everything we do to make sure we get a better environment to stay in. The building control agencies should help to check that buildings are built to the building regulation standards. Make sure that you follow the standard the way it should be done. For instance, if you have done your concrete, how many days does it need to take for the concrete to cure? What do you need to do to help the concrete to cure? All these things, you need to do them and make sure that it is safe. If you are using the reinforcement, make sure you use the right reinforcement, use the right cement, and you use clean, drinkable water for your concrete and for your mixture. It helps the building. I hope you learned something today. There are so many things for us to do. We all have a role to play to help us stay safe. Thank you for staying with us on this episode of Property Doctor. I hope you got some tips that can help you in your construction project. I believe we can all put our hands together and build a better and safer environment. We hope to see you same time next week. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day and bye.
I'm coming. If you hand over to government to maintain, the budget the money and share it.
To live in that particular place that the house is. So it's supposed government to really compensate them so that and pay them and relocate them to where they are going and build another house for them.
Careful engineering and management to meet human needs.